What's up, everyone? We are on day 48 of the 90-day YouTube sprint on Signal Analytics, and today we're going right back into customer data. You have to check this out for yourself because we're going to look into how sales cycle lengths have changed. We're going to look at real client data here and dig into something that we've seen you need to be on the lookout for. So let's get into it. Now, we're going to look at this data and identify problems that are occurring. We're not going to cover the nitty gritty of how you solve those problems as an organization. That will be catered towards how you sell your products, your services, your team, and what that looks like. And so with this client, like, we talk about those specific details once we identify this problem. But for this video, we're just going to be looking at the data so you can take this, go into your HubSpot instance and Salesforce instance, whatever it is, get the same data and see what's going on with your team. Now, here's a caveat. We have had this HubSpot instance for over 2 years. So we know that the data quality is good because we've been handling it. We're data specialists. We do Signal Analytics. So everything's set up how we want it to be. If your data quality is not good, you're not going to have really good results here. People are going to look at these numbers and be like, well, it's wrong because blah, blah, blah. So instead, you have to make sure your data quality is good first, and then we get into these numbers. But without further ado, let's get into it. So what we're looking at here is just sales cycle lengths and then some breakdowns that are going to identify problems that are going on. And so the first two charts that we're looking at are the average days to close and then the median days to close. Now, if you do statistics, you know that these are two different values and can tell you two different things, right? And so an average can be extremely misleading, and it's not the whole picture because you can have outliers, especially with data sets that aren't filtered by any means like this one. And then medians will give you a better idea of where the middle of the pack is, right? Where the actual middle value is amongst all of the values in your data set. And so what we see here is in the average days to close by quarter, we have it broken into won and lost here. And so on the one side, we see an increasing trend in the average days to close. That's an alarm bell. We see that from Q4 onward, we have doubled in our sales cycle length. And so in Q3 and Q4, we're at 51 and 59 average days to close. This is based on the close date, that x-axis. And so this is a problem. And so now what we're going to do is look into the median and see what's going on there as well. And so with the median, it's not as concerning of a picture, but it's still a trend that we need to look out for. And we can see here, this blue bar is the one category. And so we still see a doubling from Q4 to Q3 in terms of the median number of days won, but 10 days does not sound nearly as bad as 51 days to close a deal, right? And so what we need to do is we need to go down into this next level because there's still something going on. Why is the average increasing? Are we just having more large deals come into the picture? And so it's pulling that average upwards, but for the majority of the deals we close, they're still at a low number of days. So that's what we're going to look into next. And so before we even get to that, what we're going to do is look at one deal's, the days to close by ACV. And correction here, I actually paused the video to rename it because it wasn't by ACV. It was the median versus the average for our one deals. And so when we're looking at the one deals, it's just a side-by-side view so we can get a better view than comparing across charts here. You can just see these numbers next to each other. You can see the trends a little bit better. We can just look at the one deals and see how these trends are over 720 days instead of the 365. And so that's what the point of this chart is. And so we just see this increasing value for both the median and the average so we can look further into it. And so now what we're going to look down into is the total closed won deals by quarter, and we're going to break it out by the annual contract value here. And this will give us a better idea of why deals might be increasing in their average time to close, why the median still doubled. It's still low, the median, but why it's doubled. And so when we're looking here, what I like to do is I like to get rid of the small data points so we can look at more wholesome trends here. And so for this client, a lot of the deals are on the smaller side here for the annual contract value. And what we can see is that, in fact, the 0 to 29K annual contract value has taken over in this year, has taken over the vast majority of deals, right? If we even add back all the other ones in, we can see that for Q1, it's 84%, Q2, it's 82%, then it's 93%, and then for this quarter, it's 86%. In the past, it has been around that value or a little bit lower in beginning of 2023, and then before that, you can see it's a very small amount. And so the deal size is getting smaller. So for my expectations, I would say, okay, well, the average time to close a deal should actually not be increasing. It should be decreasing. These should be simpler deals to close. We might have our targeting wrong here. The people we're bringing into the sales pipeline might actually not be the ones that we're looking for. Because when we know about this client, they were actually looking to expand the size of their deals and get larger clients, and it's gone the complete opposite way, right? And so even though revenue is increasing and conversions are increasing, and there's a lot of good numbers, it's not moving in the direction that they really want to based off of our discussions this quarter. And so now we know, okay, we have the smaller deals that are actually a higher percentage of our closed deals. We, number one, need to refocus on larger deal sizes so we can start pushing up the average or the annual contract value. And then we need to look deeper into our conversion along the pipeline. Are we getting the proper leads in for the larger clients? Do we need to adjust our sales process to sell to more enterprise style clients? So there's a lot of different paths you can go down. But once we can see how or what deals we're actually winning, we know that this average days to close is a big problem. And so now what we need to do is go even deeper and split it out by median days versus average days to close by bucket and see what's going on. And so since we know that 90 to 119K, 150K plus, 60 to 89K are not significant buckets of deals we are selling into, what we're going to do is we're going to uncheck this on this chart as well so that we can see what's going on just with the 0 to 29K and the 30 to 59K deals. And so now we can see, okay, this is the distribution for the median days. Let me uncheck the average as well. Then we can see the average. And let's say we're just going to look at the 0 to 29K because that's the problem area that we're looking at. That's the majority of deals in Q2, Q3, and Q4. We can see here that the median days to close has spiked. We're at 13 days for that. And then it went back down to 10, right? So we're still much higher than 2023. But then the average is going way up here. And so what I would want to do is expand that data point and start looking at the days to close and see who's really taking the longest on this. Why is there this gigantic number when we're going towards Q2, Q3, and Q4? So we can see here that we have clients, some outliers that are very, very high. So what we want to then do next is exclude these outliers or maybe even dig into these and see why it took them so long to close. Why weren't these opportunities closed out before? Because there should be a closure of deals that have stagnated for a certain amount of time. And then we can truly get into the numbers of the days to close, what those buckets look like, and then refine our averages. And so this is the process that you would take to dial in the sales cycle that you're experiencing, maybe identify some problems, identify some data cleanliness issues, and see what's truly going on. If we remove these values, the average is going to drop. It's also why we look at the median over here too. And this is a thing I hate about HubSpot is it clears all those filters. But if we look at the median here, it's not as much of a concern as the average, just because we looked at those outlier values. We account for them with the median better than we do with the average. And so we can see that right now we are experiencing a longer sales cycle. We should expect that and calculate that in our projections going forward to know, okay, this is not 2020, not more. Our median days to close is not around 5. It is instead around 10. That's double the amount of time that we would expect. And so we need to account for that in our expectations for our setters and for our closers. Now, one note to add to this entire process is that we were digging into the average days to close as the initial data point we saw as a problem. And when we dug deeper, we saw that the average isn't as representative of what's usually going on. The median is much closer to that. We're okay here. It's still not ideal because it's twice as long as the median in 2023, but it's not like it's 5 times as long. We're looking at a month instead of a week in terms of the median to close. But what we did discover was that the distribution of our deal size was not where we wanted it to be, right? So for this client, they wanted to move to larger deal sizes, and instead they're moving towards smaller deal sizes. And so by taking this hierarchical approach, if that's even a word, you're going to be able to identify other issues because at the surface level, something was wrong. You dug deeper and you uncovered other things. It's kind of like when since I'm in Florida, I will tell you what typically happens is you see a small water leak or some sign of a little bit of mold in the wall, right? And so people will hire someone to come fix that specific issue. They end up opening up the wall and they discover that the entire house is just filled with mold, right? And so this could be what goes on with your data in your CRM. You look and you see a small problem. You're like, oh, why is my average sales cycle getting so long? And you open it up and then you find out, oh, shit, like there is actually a big underlying problem here. We are going the completely wrong way in terms of our deal sizes. We need to fix that, right? So everything on the surface could appear okay. Revenue's going up, close rates are fine. But then when you're digging deep, you see that your deal size is going downward. You don't know your ICP like you thought you did. There's other problems. So this was supposed to be a short video, but I got a little bit too lost in the sauce there. So hopefully you found this useful. Hopefully you can use this type of analysis to look into your own data. If you feel like this is too much, you have other things to do. There's data quality issues. You don't know exactly what to look for, how to build these reports. This is what we do for clients. Book a call on our website, mergeyourdata.com. Our experts go through this. We identify exactly what's going on in your data, the signals of when something might be going wrong, the signals of when a prospect is going to buy, so that you can boost is a buzzword, but so that you can get a lift in your revenue over a 6-month period of working with us. We do it over and over again with our clients. If you're a good fit, we'd love to do it with you as well. So book a call on our website. Appreciate you guys watching, and I'll talk to you later.